Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a really special guest on today. She's an MA design graduate from Royal College of Art London. Before joining Studio Dumbar, she worked at Pentagram London for several years, and in 2004 she co-founded and still co-hosts the podcast station typeradio.org with Donald Beekman and the type foundry Underware. Please join me in welcoming Liza Enebeis. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me.
My
It's
pleasure.
an honor to be here.
Yeah. Are you ready for 20 questions?
Yes, let's go. Let's go.
Okay. Question one, tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
Today, I'm creative director and partner at Studio Dumbar. I also manage the studio with a colleague of mine, Wouter. That's for today.
Great. I love it. So number two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Yeah, of course, you never know if you're very different. I think I don't know, especially designers. I always think we're all the same. But maybe something slightly different is I'm British by birth, Greek at heart, and Dutch by design.
Hmm.
And that, for me, what that means is that I think I've always been a foreigner or an outsider in where I've been, also for moving around, but approach the work I do and my mentality. I'm always looking from the outside. And looking from the outside, I feel gives you the advantage of everything is new and everything feels very, very exciting.
Great. And just a note for the audience, if you guys are interested in how we're kicking off 2025, our first big guest was Kareem Rashid, the industrial designer. Please check out that episode. So question three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
Yeah, yeah, it's always I have to say, your 20 questions are not the easiest questions, but um, if I think of why this, why do I do what I do? I think as a kid, I've always been curious. I always would ask why. I remember my art teachers saying that when I was born, the first thing I probably said was why. And I think design is one of the professions that I found that I could deep dive into very, very different areas and really learn about many different subjects. Because with every question we have, it's a client from a from completely different expertise that comes to us to ask, if we can work with them in creating an identity or emotion. So I think design helps or feeds my curiosity because one day I'm learning about jazz, the other day I'm learning about cryptocurrencies, new AI tools to, I don't know, to designing toilet seats. It is extremely broad, and I love that.
Hmm. Great. Some people struggle with number four, but the question is, what does your future look like?
That's the one thing I really do not want to know.
Hmm.
I don't know, and I don't want to know because if I knew, what would be the reason to wake up in the morning?
Hmm. Great. Okay. Number five, we say it's unique to the show. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Yeah, it says, I think this also ties into um, the my earlier answer.
Hmm.
I think I think I prefer to be out of place because the I don't have a feeling a place is equivalent to comfort, like necessarily a physical space. I feel I can live or work uh, anywhere. When I think of place, sometimes it makes it feel like, yeah, like when I talk about a physical space, it feels for me too stationary. So the notion for me for place is maybe the context of where you're in and not necessarily like a physical environment.
Mhm. Great. Number six, if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
Yeah. I think I would tell my younger self that um that you will live longer than you think,
Mm.
and maybe really not to care what anybody thinks about you, because actually nobody really spends a lot of thought. If I think of myself, I don't sit to think, oh, what did that person do, or that person, or what that work looks like. So really, really not to worry so much.
Great. And what's a day in your life like?
Yeah. So I wake up in the morning at 4, I play tennis, I shower, I'm like working all day long. That's really not true. Um, I'm not like that. I think and this is, I think, what we all share. I mean, I think I just do what everybody else does, is just wake up and yeah, there is nothing, I would say, I don't feel I do anything unusual or weird, or just, um, yeah, all I can say is, yeah, I drink coffee, and I do not have breakfast. I do not like, having breakfast. And, I don't like having breakfast. I also don't really like having lunch, but I do really, really like having dinner.
Mm. Mm. Great.
Do
Um,
you share the same? I'm just wondering what you do now.
well, yeah,
Anyway,
I mean, we all drink coffee. I mean, that seems to be the one thing. So,
yeah, exactly.
number eight is around lifelong learning. It's a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
How do I stay up to date? Yeah, I think that staying up to date, of course, I do spend a little bit, I think a bit too much online, um, reading. Well, up to date, I think I read the news about 3 to 4. Actually, I wouldn't even know how many times I read the news every day. The BBC News. That's important for me. And then it's reading. I don't know. I read a lot of blogs, or follow certain Instagram accounts, or friends and colleagues. Always like to see um, um, different work from different people, not only when it comes to design, um, but up to date. Yeah, up to date means that it feels like a lot of pressure to uh, be always current.
Mm.
I do I do look through a lot of books that I have, or spend a lot of time in bookstores just browsing. I love to do that. Um, and most recently, I've been reading a lot of poetry, which I
Mhm.
did not expect.
Great. So nine is about tools. Do you use both digital and analog tools?
At the moment, it's all digital.
Mm.
If I talk about analog, yeah, it is mostly writing.
Mm.
I write notes. I write notes. I have a small book that I keep with me, so that if there's ideas or thoughts, or that I want to keep.
Great. 10, do you have thoughts about work life or life work balance?
Yes, because I know this is maybe it's the way the question is asked, or not your question, but
Mm,
there's always that idea of uh, the statement of work-life balance,
mm,
and I don't have that feeling that there is a huge division. For me, it's more, one flows into the other.
mm,
I hate it when it's like work-life balance, like as if I'm not living my life while working.
mm,
So I don't really make much of a distinction between the two. And, if I'm going to an exhibition on the weekend, it doesn't mean that it inspires me for the work I do, but it brings me a lot of pleasure. So it doesn't mean that one has stopped and the other has started. So for me, it's all one thing.
mm. Great. 11, if you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
If I wasn't fully at, I think at the studio,
Mm,
I do dream about um, having a permanent motion festival or exhibition space
mm,
where I could curate work and show work of motion designers throughout the year, ideally worldwide or in the Netherlands in a public space, and not only for one day.
mm. Great. And do you have something you would not like to do with your career?
I don't want to ever stop.
Mm,
That is, like, I don't, and also it's not a career, like it's not like um, so not like to do. I don't want to stand still. For me, it's important to learn and understand, uh, learn new things, new ways, working with different people. Um, so it's more standing still and approaching the work, how we approach it now in the like standing still and then approaching it in the same way. I think there are so many developments and like even when it comes to technology, that there's so much more to learn that that's for me important for us also to evolve. So standing still is what I don't want to do.
mhm, mhm. How about a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Yeah. So of course that changes, and a word is always nice for how it sounds like. But recently, with a colleague of mine, we gave a talk, and in the talk we talked about the love for design. And this colleague of mine called Soldis. I'm now going to butcher her name, her last name, because it's oh my God, she's going to kill me how I'm going to pronounce this name. I'm going to look it up for correct pronunciation. Wait, 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 wait. I'm looking it up. Um, Hold on. It's okay, right? If we pause 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so her last name is, oh my God. It's Finnbogadóttir. Sorry, saw this. I butchered your last name. It's an Icelandic last name.
Mm,
And she was presenting a project, and it was about the love for design. And she said during the talk, designing is like being in love. You overthink, obsess, can't sleep because you care too much. And I actually love that so much. We also use it in other talks. because it really is so true, like how we um yeah, how we approach design, or how we at least like everybody I work with, it's really, really true. Like how we approach design. Like there's nights like, oh, I can't sleep, I can't find the answer. What is it? And it's so similar. I think that when you fall in love with somebody or something, that you can't just let it go. And I think that's very much on how we feel about design and how we work in the studio. And of course, it doesn't only apply for design, but I like the analogy.
Nice, that's great. And least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Yeah, this is one thing I don't know how to answer.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I
Hmm.
don't know. I thought about this. I know you're disappointed. Maybe we could use the word disappointment.
Hmm.
I don't like the word disappointment. It's very judgmental. I don't like that.
Okay. And one word to describe yourself. What word do you choose?
Dedicated.
What keeps you up at night?
Yeah. Of course, this changes by month, by age, by day, by the world news. At the moment, it worries me of what world are we leaving behind for the next generation.
Hmm. How about a dream you're chasing?
I hope you're not disappointed with this answer. This is one thing, it's again close to what the future holds. Um, I don't have that sort of, like, I try not to think in a really big way
Hmm.
in that sense. It's not that I think in a more, it's not that I think only day by day and accidentally something happens tomorrow, but I try to keep it um, small, smaller. Um, but if you want like a bigger dream, I think uh, the demo festival and a design and motion festival, and finding a more permanent place for that in a public space would be brilliant.
Nice. Last few here. Number 18, what inspires you?
Um, at the moment, I'm learning a lot. I'm trying to learn a lot, as much as possible, about sound, and delve into different genres.
Hmm.
Um, I think, and not only okay, for myself personally, but also for the work that we do.
Hmm.
I grew up where a lot of the music that I'm, like I said, Greek at heart. I
Hmm.
grew up with listening to a lot of Greek music, but that's relatively limited to the kind of music that you listen to.
Hmm.
So for me now to learn and hear music or sound from all over the world is very, very important. It's just, it's like a completely new world opening up. And for other people, I feel they have all this knowledge because they grew up with, I don't know, they grew up with techno and went to clubs at the age of 12, but that was not at all my upbringing. So I'm trying to catch up as fast as possible.
Nice. And any advice you'd like to share?
As advice, I think is something that my father always said to me. If you don't play, you can't win.
Hmm.
And that is something he told me, I think, when I was very little. And it's about daring
Mm.
and maybe doing something that's outside of your comfort zone and not to pre-edit or just come to a conclusion that you will not be able to do something just because you've calculated all the risks. You just don't know really, and you just need to try something and see. And it's not about failure, but just trying something out, and you never know where that leads.
Great. And finally, number 20, how can our listeners keep tabs on you and what's our call to action?
Keep tabs on me. I mean, they can follow, of course, Studio Dumbar
Mm.
on Instagram or check out the website. Or I have my personal Instagram account, books love Liza,
Mm.
and yeah, that's about it. You can always email me, ask me any question. Don't be afraid. I might take a bit long to answer, but I do eventually.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being on. I really was excited about this particular episode. It's a small part of your profile, but underwear was something I was learning about when I was in design school, so I was really kind of geeking out on that idea. So thank you so much for being on
Oh,
today.
nice. I will tell them. They will be very happy to hear. You should reach out to them.
Great. Okay, thanks.
Uh, Thank you. And you will let me know when it goes when it's live or
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll go up today.
Okay. Wow, that's fast. Of course, you don't edit. You can edit all the time that I'm trying to search for Soldis's last name.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you.